Welcome to the Local Content Studio, an AI-generated podcast sponsored by newmedialocal.com, an AI-powered digital media agency.
To the deep dive.
The show where we take the research, the articles, and the sources you're sharing and really get into what they mean.
And today we are immersing ourselves in what feels like a truly foundational shift happening right at the intersection of AI and legal practice.
It really is. And this deep dive is driven by some fascinating new material from Loretta Marie Kimball, who, is the founder of New Media Local.
Right. And if you follow her work, you know she's always tracking where technology meets community access.
And she has absolutely identified a moment of profound change here.
Absolutely. The stat that really kicks this whole conversation off for me is, well, it's staggering. The data shows over 40% of law firms are currently piloting AI twins.
Piloting them specifically for client engagement and crucially for multilingual outreach.
This isn't some forecast for 5 years from now. I mean, this is a massive industry shift happening as we speak.
It really signals that the legal profession has hit the limits of its traditional models for scaling.
So our mission today is to unpack exactly how these tools, these AI twins and avatars are moving firms beyond just digitizing old documents.
And instead, how they're redefining operations, especially in these high-need fields like immigration and social justice law, and of course, what the non-negotiable legal and ethical guardrails have to be.
Okay, let's start there. Before we get into the impact, we have to clarify the tech. We're talking about a digital duo here, AI twins and AI avatars. They sound similar, but they're not interchangeable.
Not at all. They're completely different beasts, even though they often work together. The AI twin is the specialized core.
The brain, basically.
But the brain, exactly. Think of it as a deep digital consciousness of a single attorney. It's an AI version that's been rigorously trained on that lawyer's specific voice, their legal language, and most importantly, their expertise data.
So if a lawyer specializes in, say, complex asylum claims, the twin isn't just pulling from a general legal database. It's actually replicating their unique way of thinking.
Precisely. The twin is built to hold these automated but very sophisticated conversations. It can interpret complex legal docs and respond with the specific tone and reasoning style of the person it's modeled after. The goal is a near-real interaction.
And the AI avatar, where does that fit in?
The avatar is the face. It's the interface. It's the digital representative that uses a synthetic voice, facial gestures, a customizable appearance, like a digital receptionist.
So that's what you see on the website chatbot or in a video call?
Yes, it's the visible front end for the intake process, for delivering information.
Okay, but here's the core question for me. Why is this so revolutionary? We've had legal chatbots for, decades. What makes these AI twins so different from the old, frustrating NLP systems?
That's the key distinction. The old systems were purely transactional. They just followed a simple decision tree.
If a client says X, you respond with Y.
Exactly. But today's tech is powered by generative AI. And that means the AI twin doesn't just read data, it understands context. It can maintain conversational memory across multiple interactions.
So it could handle a complex query. Like a client asks about residence requirements, then switches to a question about waivers, then asks about documents, and the AI doesn't lose the thread.
Precisely. It replicates the attorney's actual reasoning flow. It can process nuanced language, hold mock oral arguments in a training setting, and crucially, it lets the firm expand its reach way beyond any geographic limits. That ability to learn from dynamic interaction is what makes it so transformative.
And the market is definitely responding. The sources point out that some models, I think authority-proof AI was mentioned, are being trained not just on legal theory,
but on the unique ethics and standards needed for fields like immigration and social justice.
That specialization tells you the industry gets it. This needs to be responsible, context-aware AI.
Absolutely. The AI has to be trained to be not just legally accurate, but, culturally appropriate too.
And that leads us perfectly into the next section.
Yeah.
The social impact and the value these tools bring to attorneys serving diverse, often non-English speaking communities. This is really about bridging an access gap.
And what really struck me in the research was the immediate effect on client trust and, anxiety.
That's huge.
It is. For immigrant and non-English speaking clients, the legal system can be terrifying. The sources show these clients experience less anxiety and report greater trust when their first contact is with a digital twin speaking their own language.
That's fascinating, but why? Why would a digital replica inspire more trust than a person?
I think it comes down to consistency and maybe a freedom from perceived judgment.
What do you mean?
Well, think about the pressure of talking about deeply personal, sensitive legal issues in a language that isn't your first, or having to explain cultural context over and over again.
You'd feel exhausted and probably misunderstood.
Right. The AI twin removes the translation delay, the potential for human error in interpretation, and the fear of feeling rushed or judged by a professional who might not share your background.
And because the twin has learned the attorney's style, it can generate consistent content from FAQs to case updates in, up to a dozen languages?
In up to a dozen languages, all while keeping that same empathetic, legally sound tone. That consistency builds rapport very, very quickly.
And the avatars just enhance that connection.
They do. They aren't just a text box. They simulate a welcoming presence, walk clients through dense documents visually, and can even use different dialects and accents to foster that initial trust.
It's the difference between a generic email and having a friendly face explain what's next in your own language.
I think there was a great quote in the source material from a social justice attorney.
Oh, yes. She said, AI avatars have given our firm the ability to speak directly to non-English speaking communities, breaking down critical legal barriers.
I mean, that says it all. For social justice practices that are often high demand and low resource, this is transformative.
It is. They can provide reliable, culturally relevant legal info to marginalized groups at an incredible scale, and without losing that personal touch that is so essential for building trust. It's like multiplying the reach of every legal aid attorney.
Okay, let's pivot to the practical side of things, to the operational transformation. We've talked about the cultural and ethical value, but how does this translate into day-to-day efficiency?
The sources lay out about 5 key ways. This really changes how a firm operates.
Right. So first up is automated legal research, but now it can be done dynamically and reliably across multiple languages.
A task that used to take hours of manual translation is now, basically instant.
Which frees up the human lawyer to do the actual high-level strategy. Second is 247 client intake and FAQ response from the AI avatars.
Turns a phone bottleneck into an always-on service desk.
Third, and this is a huge time saver, is enhanced document drafting. The AI twin, trained on the attorney's style, can produce really high-quality first drafts of routine filings.
Drafts that sound just like the lawyer who trained it.
Fourth is streamlining all that client communication. Proactive follow-ups, case updates, all delivered in the client's native tongue. It must cut down on administrative calls massively.
It does. And fifth is just the efficient scaling of entire outreach programs. A firm that served 3 states can now offer high-quality initial consults across 10 states almost overnight. It's truly scalable advocacy.
So for anyone listening who's considering this technology, what's on the essential features checklist? What should you look for beyond the marketing hype?
You have to be very selective. The sensitivity here is so high. First, the synthetic voice. It must be hyper-realistic and provide natural conversation. If it sounds robotic, all that trust we talked about just vanishes.
Okay, that makes sense. What's next?
Second, the custom AI twin training. It has to allow for deep personalization. You need it to reflect your firm's specific values and expertise. You're not buying an off-the-shelf tool, you're buying a replica.
And third, I imagine, is integration.
Oh, seamless legal tech integration is a must. The tools have to talk to your existing case management systems. If the avatar is just an island, forcing you to manually enter data, you lose all the efficiency.
But all of this power has to be balanced with just ironclad compliance. The sources really stress this. Adopting these tools without robust ethical guardrails is just a non-starter.
It is non-negotiable, and the first and maybe most overlooked risk is publicity rights.
Define that for us.
It's the right of an individual, the attorney, a client, anyone, to control the commercial use of their name, their likeness, their whole persona.
So if the AI twin is using an attorney's voice and appearance to generate revenue, that attorney must have given explicit written permission.
Explicitly. The sources are crystal clear on this. You need that permission. If you don't have it, you're opening the firm up to serious legal action. Imagine an attorney leaves the firm and they keep using her AI twin.
That's an immediate lawsuit. It's a little unnerving to think about a digital you out there with its own legal rights.
It is, and it's especially critical when you're working with vulnerable populations, like in immigration cases.
Right, because those communities are at a much higher risk of exploitation if their data or their digital identities are misused.
Exactly. The best platforms have to build in publicity rights protections for the client, just as much as for the attorney.
Okay, so that's risk number one. What's the second big one?
Privacy and data integrity. This goes straight to the heart of attorney-client privilege.
Right. An AI avatar handling those sensitive conversations has to comply with all the confidentiality rules.
And when you use a third-party AI vendor, you're adding a new layer of risk to that client data.
So firms can't just click agree on a standard privacy policy. They need to do their homework.
They have to. They need to choose vendors with transparent policies, insist on encrypted communications, and critically, they need to audit the AI's protocols for bias.
Let's talk about that audit process. How do you audit an AI for bias, especially in a field like immigration law?
Well, if the AI twin is trained only on historical case data that already has an implicit bias, say, data that shows a pattern of denying claims from a certain region,
Then the AI is just going to learn and perpetuate that same bias.
it'll reinforce systemic failure. A proper audit means you intentionally test the twin against diverse scenarios to make sure its responses are legally sound and representative, not just repeating old, tainted data.
We've covered the potential and the pitfalls. Let's ground this in a real-world example. The sources had a great case study of an immigration firm.
They did. This firm was struggling with growth in non-native English-speaking communities. So they implemented an AI twin trained on their top lawyers' expertise in English, Spanish, and Mandarin.
And the results were pretty compelling.
Before the twin, communication barriers were just stifling growth. After they implemented it, client queries from non-native English speakers doubled in 6 months.
Doubled. Wow.
And the efficiency gains were just as clear. Intake conversion rates went up by 38%, mostly because people got immediate, high-quality answers in their own language. The time staff spent on routine document explanation was cut in half.
That success story really confirms the whole point. When you match advanced tech to real-world cultural needs, AI stops being a cost center and becomes a core strategic asset.
It fundamentally changes the conversation around legal access.
So after this whole deep dive, what does this all mean for you listening in? Our analysis of the sources from Loretta Marie Kimball and New Media Local really points to 3 massive takeaways.
First, that AI twins and avatars are becoming critical tools for closing communication gaps and scaling advocacy, especially in fields like social justice.
Second, the operational gains are undeniable. From automated research to multilingual client management, these tools are making it possible for firms to serve so many more people.
And third, and maybe most important, compliance with privacy and publicity rights isn't just a footnote. It is absolutely paramount for ethical and lawful practice.
We've established that this technology is creating a highly personalized, empathetic digital replica of an attorney, one that can handle routine work with incredible accuracy.
Which brings us to our final provocative thought, something for you to really think about.
If the AI twin can manage every routine point of contact with empathy, consistency, and accuracy, we have to ask,
For the next generation of clients, the ones growing up with this technology, will the AI twin become the primary, most trusted, and most accessible face of the firm, even more so than the physical attorney who created it?
that is the future being built today. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the revolution of legal technology.